Hi. Nice to meet you. My name is Juan. I work for Orbs. I lead the biz dev. Now that we have super secure hardware wallets, the question is, what do we do with them? And probably the thing we would want to do with them after we've paid and custodied is probably DeFi. So I would like to talk today about kind of state of DeFi, where we are, and what do we need to take it to kind of the next level. Yeah, that's me. I'm the business lead. I've been a lawyer before. Stopped doing that. It's a much nicer life to be a BD guy in crypto. I've been in this space since 2015 and with Orbs for the last 7 years. So let's talk about DeFi. DeFi is great. We can do super sophisticated financial transactions with no intermediaries, very easy onboarding for those who are, a little bit techy, not even too much. Very easy to onboard, no intermediaries, composable. You can build really cool things. And then the question is, why is it not picking up at the pace where we thought it will or we wanted it to pick up on? And I would say, so we've seen a massive explosion of DeFi during DeFi summer, and then we've seen it kind of stay more or less the same size, maybe slightly subsiding in the last couple of years. And I think the biggest hurdles we're seeing is, and everybody talks about this stuff, is inferior UX, just not as nice as going to a prime centralized venue where everything is like Web 2 built for you. But it's also the fragmentation is a big problem. I've seen a joke on Twitter the other day that we have more layer 2s than women in the industry, but I think that's true now. And yeah, just like liquidity is fragmented everywhere. Liquidity is fragmented across different chains, across different venues within the chain, across different pools within an AMM. And also, there's still big limitation in smart contracts. Everybody's working about, making things more scalable, perhaps lower fees, but still the core things you just can't do with EVM-based smart contracts. So I guess the purpose of this talk is to see what we can do to make the experience better and maybe discuss what people are building now that's making things better. So what can we do? In my opinion, I would say there's 3 main principles that can help us build a better DeFi ecosystem. One is availability, just making sure we have all the stuff that we have in CeFi also in DeFi. 2 is abstraction. People don't want to handle all the different chains, different values, connect here, convert there, lend here. People want a very simple experience, and that's hard to get in DeFi for anything that's more than just a swap. And also aggregation, which is the best way to kind of overcome that liquidity fragmentation issue. Starting with availability, I guess the main first thing we want to have is we want to have the same stuff that we have in C, right? People are trading on Binance. There's a set of features they have there, and then they go on chain and they don't have the same set of features, so might as well just stay on Binance, right? One example that we're building TWAP and limit orders, right? DCA and limit orders. That's kind of like the most basic advanced feature you'd have on any centralized venue. That was more or less non-existent on DeFi. So we've partnered with Pancake, QuickSwap, SpookySwap, Sushi to help them build out TWAP and limit. Now we have it kind of everywhere. That's a very small step towards having the full functionality you have in CeFi be available in DeFi as well. But I think it's a must if we want to convert people to DeFi. Same for perps. Maybe I'll move. Yeah. Same for perps. When you look at spot trading, around 20% today is on-chain. That's been more or less consistent since DeFi summer. But for perpetual trading, you only have around 1 to 1.5% of perps trading on-chain. And the reason is you just don't have good enough platforms. Hyperliquid is probably the best one right now. You have GMX and all the GMX forks. You have different solutions. None of them are super capital efficient, and most of them are kind of stuck in the size they are. So one of the things we're trying to build now is essentially an intent-based system for perps where we essentially source liquidity from CeFi into DeFi, but I won't dive so much into that, but the idea is essentially trying to bring the same functionality you see on Binance or Bybit to be available on-chain. Let's talk about abstraction. A lot of people are talking about account abstraction. I'm not sure I have to super deep dive into it, but essentially the idea with abstraction is users don't really need to understand or be exposed to the intricacies or technicalities of how their trade is executed. It could be from the wallet layer where you don't really have, there's some solutions like NPCs and other where you shouldn't be really expecting people to interact with their private keys. There's other solutions for that, for encryption in the world that we can use for crypto as well, and goes through the execution as well. I'll give a couple examples. So we're quite involved with the Tone ecosystem. They also have a hackathon here in parallel to Zebu this year, but I think that's one of the best approaches to account abstraction that we're seeing, essentially having your own non-custodial wallet integrated into, specifically in this case, Telegram on your phone. Yeah, so you have a very simple approach that's very similar to the approach you get to the experience you get with Web 2, but that interacts with crypto and DeFi. We do a bunch of stuff with them, but won't spend your time. And obviously, there's tons of other wallets and other solutions for account abstraction. These are just a few. We're not affiliated with any of them. But yeah, just to give, so abstraction, I think, is one of the core things that can help us achieve a better experience for DeFi. And the last thing is aggregation. So as I've said, liquidity is fragmented everywhere. And the problem with liquidity fragmentation is not just the experience, it's annoying to have to hop between chains to get certain specific tokens and stuff. It's really about the price. The less liquidity available, the worse the price, be it on an AMM model, be it on an order book model, but wherever you trade, the less liquidity is available, the worse is the price you're gonna get, obviously as compared to your trade size. So aggregation is key. Obviously, there's a bunch of different aggregators everywhere, but we took our approach for that. So we've built Liquidity Hub. Liquidity Hub is essentially a DEX aggregator that's a meta aggregator that's integrated into a DEX itself. So we work with QuickSwap, SpookySwap, Linux, a bunch of others. We have 16 integrations now for products. Essentially, the idea is that if you limit, a user comes in to swap with a DEX UI. If the user would limit himself, if the DEX would limit himself to the available liquidity on that specific AMM, that will always result in a price that's worse for the user. So you will not expect users to come back to trade on the AMM. They will probably go to some aggregator or back to CeFi. And once you tap into every liquidity that's available on-chain, be it, so obviously on-chain solving via different aggregators like Paraswap and Odos and Rango and OpenOcean and LiFi and all these guys, be it with market makers who are solving off-chain, be it with cross-chain solvers who are just now kind of starting to work. Not yet, but on their way, probably this year. So essentially, you tap into all existing liquidity and essentially provide better prices. I'll give QuickSwap as an example. So when I come to trade on QuickSwap, I have around $100 million TVL, which is nice. But for bigger trades, I would get price impact when I trade. Then if I tap into all existing liquidity on Polygon, for example, let's say Polygon POS, I would have around $100 million. So obviously, that would give me a better price. If I go through all on-chain, like via cross-chain solving, I would have probably 11 billion now. And if I just use market makers, have them solve on Coinbase or Binance, I could probably tap into over $100 billion in TVL that's available, and all of that will translate to better prices for users. So essentially, having the best products available on-chain, having all the complexity abstracted away from the users, and use aggregation to provide better prices, we can provide a better experience in DeFi, and that would perhaps make DeFi great again. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Thank you very much.